Alright, fellas, so now we're going to be talking about the actual challenge quest for Gilfest, and I made this a whole different video because there is a lot to go over. We have the challenge quests from last year are coming back, but now we have these new set of challenge quests that honestly I haven't seen a lot of people really cover. It's probably because it only came around once, like this has not had a rerun on Japan, so it was like you either beat it the first time or you didn't. So that's what we're going to be talking about in today's video. If you hear lightning outside or anything, I don't know, Zeus is trying to strike me down right now. No idea what's going on out there. But if you enjoy FGO content, you know, I upload these videos every single day, and all I ask for in return is a like on the video and a subscribe to the channel. And if you're feeling extra feisty and you really like what I do, you can click that join button. But with that being said, just two things that I want to go over just real quick before we start getting into this challenge quest. So, for one, for the love of God, make your life infinitely easier and just wait until you get one of the damage CE's max limit broken, because not only does it give whatever servant is holding that max limit broken CE 200% extra damage, but they also get a little bit of like permanent damage cut, and they get a guts as well. So it will make your life so much easier if you just wait till you've grinded the lottery just a little bit. I mean, you should be grinding first lottery really hard anyway, because it also drops hearts. It's going to be the easiest one to farm because you're fighting casters. You know, it's a regular 333 node. You know, if you really wanted my full advice, I would just say bump the CQs until the first node is done. I would just go really hard for the first 3 days, just grind that. So then you'd have the CE, you'd have gotten the maximum amount of farming on that first really good node. But then just make sure you go in there when you have the maximum broken damage CE, because otherwise you are not going to have a fun time. You're going to be in here for like 300 turns. Now, the second thing that I need to mention is that in Battle in New York for Gilfest, you cannot bring dupes. Meaning, if you already have Merlin in your party and you're running Arjuna Altar, you cannot bring a friend Merlin. You have to have a one of every servant in your, party. I was going to say deck, but I've been playing a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh lately. So in your party, you cannot have a dupe. So do keep that in mind. There are no double Tamamo, double Bride, double Merlin, none of those strategies, right? You have to bring all unique servants. So just keep that in mind going into this, that you can't do anything like that. Now, let's actually dive into each of these challenge quests, and I'll give a little bit of advice on what they do. Kind of just give you a rundown version. So Tauta is actually probably going to be one of the easiest quests you can do, because it is almost impossible for him to kill you. Like, honestly, if you just bring a strong or just decent single target Lancer, you should be fine to get through this quest. It's based around this whole idea of like, he hits you with all these debuffs, and whenever he throws the rice bag at you, you either get hungry or full, and then he gives you buffs and stuff as you fight. Like, it's honestly, you could read through it, but it's really hard to lose this quest because he kind of just constantly buffs you throughout the fight. And I know he's got a lot of HP, but eventually you just get so many buffs that you just start like one-shotting him, right? He gets really easy. So I mean, if you're a free-to-play player and you're like, I don't have any gold single target Lancers, you have Ku. You have two of them. I know you have one of them 5 out of 5. So, I mean, that's why I'm dropping this video like about a week in advance. So you can be like, oh, I need to level up my Ku. So make sure you go level up your Ku, level up his skills to like maybe even just 6 if you can get him that high. So you get at least the reduction in cooldown. And then you should be absolutely fine. If you have any decent Lancer, like you want to bring Enkidu, you want to bring Skahawk, like anybody like that, you can just obliterate this dude really quickly, because again, it's really hard to lose against Tauta because he's just constantly healing and buffing you as you fight. So I think that's kind of like a good introduction. Most people should be able to beat Tauta, not all that hard. Then there's Leonidas. Now, Leonidas basically is super mega strong and gets weaker as you start killing the other Spartans that are in the party. Now, from what I've kind of seen and kind of done some research on, after you drop about 7 to 8 of the Spartans, your main like single target saber, or just whoever your main DPS is going to be, with the maximum broken CE will start to be able to do pretty decent damage against him. So what I would recommend is bring AoEs to kind of cut down on the other Spartans like as quickly as you can. You know, just bring whoever you've got, You can even, if you're more free to play, bring someone like Spartacus, right? Like Spartacus has a battery, you know, he's a berserker. You could try to start chopping down on some of these numbers. Just try to get them down as fast as possible, and then move into using your main DPS, whether it's a main DPS berserker, main DPS saber, something along those lines, because you only need to drop a few of them. You don't need to worry about killing like 25 Spartans. Like, it's not that serious. Now, I would maybe advise just sticking completely to AoEs, because Leonidas has like 2 ways to taunt. Like, he has his single target, and then he has the taunt on his NP. And the reason, like, you might think that's good, you might be like, oh yeah, like, I want to be hitting Leonidas. Well, if he starts taunting too early, then you can't kill the other people, and then you're just going to be stuck in this infinite loop. So I advise maybe just sticking wholeheartedly to AoEs, just so you can kind of chop down on a lot of the numbers really early on and not have to worry about his taunts. And then, you know, make sure you get about 7 to 8 dropped, and then you should be absolutely fine. So just, you follow that and you should be good on that one. Then we have Izo. Izo can be a little annoying, because how it works is he gets a resistance to the last card type he was hit with for 2 turns. So like, I smack him with the Buster card, then he'll get a resistance to that for 2 turns. But I mean, really, that opens him up to being really soloable, because then you always have like all of your different card types available to you, and it's more easy to kind of maneuver around that. You know, bringing somebody like Sanzo could be a very easy solo. There are like Nero, Caster, Shiba, those type of setups. There was like a 3-turn with Summer BB, I think I recall seeing. Kiara will also work for this. Anybody like that should be able to get through this pretty easily. Ku Alter could probably get through this as well, because he has very high damage output, and he just has decent enough survivability. I don't know why I'm saying decent enough. He has very good survivability to get through this. So people like that are going to be very good. You'll notice that throughout a lot of these challenge quests, generally most of the servants have some way to get cheesed, and a lot of it comes from either Arjuna Alter or like soloing with a specific servant. So the other thing to keep in mind about Izo, though, is that when you pop his break bar, he gets this humanoid buff, so he'll do a lot of damage against humanoid enemies, and he gets buffs as he starts to kill people. So you want to make sure that you're kind of mitigating that. It's also why soloing is so good, because then you don't have to worry about any of this right here, right? Where, you know, where he's like, oh, he's killing people, and then he's removing stacks, and you like don't even have to manage anything. You're like, who cares? You know, you don't have to worry about any of that. So then we have Jaguar Man. This one can be really annoying, or you can just subvert it with Arjuna Alter, right? Because what this does is basically you have Taiga, you have Nobu, and you have Jean, right? If you hit Jean, it brings you the ocean battlefield, and then, you know, they all have a resistance to arts cards. You hit Taiga, they get a resistance to quick card because it brings the forest. And if you hit Nobu, it brings the flaming battlefield, and then, you know, they all get a resistance to buster cards. So you have to kind of manage who you're hitting and whatnot, but you could just 3-turn it with Arjuna Alter. Or there's also been a Dante's 3-turn that I've seen, and one of my friends actually soloed this with the Reshkagal, although he did want to tack on and say, look, it is possible to solo with the Reshkagal, although it is, you know, very difficult to do. It really is just all about, like, if you're not going to bring like a friend Arjuna Alter because you don't want to meme this challenge quest, then it is all about managing who and when you're going to be hitting, especially when you get to their break bars, because when you get to their break bars, they will double up on field. So like this one, you can only hit anybody with arts cards. Like this one, the only weakness is Buster, and this one, the only weakness is Quick. So that's why when it comes to like a lot of these ones that I consider really annoying, like I probably will just bring Arjuna Alter and then just chop a few times and be about my day. Because the reason Arjuna Alter subverts this, because like even if, you know, we're on either of these two, right? This doesn't account for his extra attack, and then his extra attack is just going to do like 500 billion damage, and it's going to kill them, right? And then the off card, whichever card that he has is free, is still going to do a lot of damage. So like his arts card is going to hit hard here. Dude, if you get this one, everybody dies, because, you know, that's his NP. He just kills them with that. And then this one, you can hit him with the quick card. It's probably going to be his weakest one, but still, you get the extra attack and a Brave Chain. Man, people thought I was playing about the extra attack, but look at it coming in clutch. It's going to come in clutch for another one of these challenge quests in the second half. But so that's that one. And then we have Shiba. Shiba, dude, this is probably the most annoying one that I've ever done, because this one is all about managing loaning buffs and then calling them back. So look at this. You have like Shiba. She has like insane damage reduction. And basically the whole thing that you're doing here is you're managing these loans that she's giving you and then like paying back buffs. So like Shiba will give you a big quick buff, and if you don't use your quick cards, then she hits you with like a massive demerit, right? So like you have to balance using all of the buffs she gives you, otherwise you're gonna get smacked with massive demerits, right? It is super annoying, right? It's really, really annoying to do because she's really beefy. She starts out with high, damage resistance, so you can't just kill her outright immediately. You're in for the long haul, right? You can solo this with Coup Alter. Honestly, it might be really easy to do a solo with someone like Coup Alter, or because this is a mixed mixed class right here, it might also be easy to use someone like Melt, because if you're doing a solo, say Shiba gives you like a Buster buff, what if you don't get a Buster buff or a Buster card that next turn, right? Then you actually cannot pay back the loan that she gave you. And so if you're doing a solo, you at the very least have access to all of your cards. But do keep in mind, she can catch you with your pants down, right? She'll be like, oh, here's an NP damage buff, but if you don't use the NP damage buff, I'm gonna like seal your NP for 3 turns. You're like, whoa, I don't even have my NP, man. I'm at like 27%. So do keep that in mind. You have to like constantly be juggling all of the buffs that she's giving you. So soloing probably is going to be the easiest way to get through this. Coup Ultra, I think, it'd be very good. Melt should be very good. Just keep that in mind. Any other like very high survivability, like I don't know if there's anybody else that's going to be on that level that has the same level of survivability, because Coup Ultra has the dodge and the guts plus the guts from the CE, and he hits really hard. And then Melt also is going to be hitting pretty hard, and she has 2 dodges, and she can really cut down on NP damage as well with her NP down skill. So do just keep that in mind. MHX Alter, this one is all about survivability, okay? So you want to knock out this first HP bar, not too hard, right? Because that's only 400k with an event damage bonus. Dude, you could bring, like, Robin Hood or somebody in your box and just blow up that bar. Just anybody strong. Your Bedivere that you got for free, you could bring him. Just anybody. Your NP5 Coup Alter, the Saber Hokusai you just got from Summer 4, literally anybody. Just bring somebody to burn that first HP bar down. Then all you want to do is survive, because she will basically kill herself after a set amount of time happens. Like, she just keeps eating her snacks, and then she's like, I'm done, and she dies. They are not expecting you to kill this 10 million HP boss, okay? They're not like, yep, they'll just have fun here. We'll just put them through infinite hell for this one. It's like, no. You break the first bar, that's all you got to do, then just survive. Bring whatever you consider to be a very tanky survivability team. I mean, we're talking like waivers, mashes, Merlins, Tamamos, anybody like that. Anybody that can keep you alive, have some sustainability, just people like that. I mean, Asclepius could be very good to bring as well. If you have Medea Lily, if you have Iris Field, very good servants to bring to just make sure you live until she commits die. So once she commits die, then the quest is over and you win. So this one's actually probably a bit on the easier side because you just need to survive for a bit. Then we have this quest. All right, so this is the Gilfest version of like the Nero boss rush from last year. Now, there are a few ways you could go about this. There are like specific kill orders where you could be like, okay, so I need to kill Billy the Kid first. Then I gotta go after like Paul Bunyan. I don't want to kill Nero first because she gives everybody party NP damage resistance. So you could do that, where you target each and every one of them in individual orders, or you could just go absolute monkey mode, right? Bring Arjuna Alter or like a high NP damage Kiara, like give like an NP2 or higher Kiara. You could just bring one of them and you could just flush this entire challenge quest down the toilet. You could just be like, who cares about whatever buffs you're getting? I have Arjuna Alter and I win. Now, when I say bring Arjuna Alter, I'm always referring to bringing a friend Arjuna Alter, right? I'm not expecting free-to-play players to have him. You know, go to your friends list, pick up your strongest Arjuna Alter, and then just bring that dude. If you don't have anybody like that on your friends list, come into the server. There are definitely people that can help you out with that. You know, we have our Discord linked down in the description down below. You can come there, go to the FGO chat, and then just be like, hey, I would like to add people for Gilfest. You know, I'm going to be wanting to use Arjuna Alter. Who has that? And somebody will add you. You know, we have enough people in there. So honestly, instead of racking your brain being like, oh, how am I going to get through this? Just bring Arjuna Alter or Kiara, right? just get through it really easily, just very quickly, easy. Get your free ticket, get your free lore. And then if you want to do it like, I don't want to say legitimately, because it's still legitimate to beat it with Arjuna Alter, but it just feels like you're cheesing it, right? But if you want to beat it later, then come back and use whatever weird strategies you want. But dude, just go get your ticket, get your lore. Who cares about the strategy? Just blow them up, man. Just destroy these people, okay? Not that hard. So now we have the Nero Bride quest. This one's a little weird. And this is the funny thing, is that these matches, this exhibition quest for the second half of Gilfest, these are like supposed to be the new quest, right? And they're supposed to be Arjuna Alter and the Mothman proof, not Oberon. We're talking about the other Mothman, the Chinese Mothman. They're supposed to be so those guys can't just solo them or just obliterate them. That's the other thing I didn't mention, Mr. Chinese Mothman, because you can bring him and you could pretty much solo most of these quests, because like it is almost impossible to catch the guy with his pants down. Like, none of these people have Pierce Invincibility, which is like the only way to get him, right? Because his NP gives him taunt, stars, attack, crit, just everything under the sun, plus invincibility for a turn. He can loop his NP, so like he can always just be invincible. But like the only way to catch him is to have Pierce Invincibility, and like nobody has that. So it's like really easy for him to just get away with soloing. I mean, like what? Like Napoleon here in this quest has Pierce Invincibility, but even in that case, I guess you just target Napoleon first and kill him. But yeah, I forgot to mention that these are all supposed to be Arjuna Alter and Chinese Man proof, but they definitely are not, as we'll get into. So this one is based around, you have your 3 enemies, right? And then every turn, one of them gets the attacker buff and one of them gets the supporter buff. Now the attacker gets big attack buff, and they'll be doing all the damage, right? And then the supporters, they get a damage resistance up, they get a heal, like a massive heal every turn, and then they also get NP damage down, right? So, you're kind of supposed to juggle like attacking the attacker and the supporters, really. That's kind of like how you're supposed to juggle it. Or you could just bring Arjuna Alter and kill everybody, right? Or just a strong AoE servant and just try to obliterate everybody. Honestly, you're probably just better off going with Arjuna Alter and subverting all of this, because I imagine this could get quite annoying, because both Theon here and Napoleon have AoE NPs, and that could get very annoying to have to like constantly try to be blocking those. Nero Bride might also just start buffing people, which could get really annoying, because she has the targetable NP skill, so she could like give somebody NP or give them massive attack buffs, or even just big defense, which could also get really annoying. So yeah, I would just probably try to subvert that as much as possible. Just go get your Arjuna Alter and obliterate them. That's going to be the name of the game there. Then we have Eric Bloodaxe. Eric can be a little annoying because he gets NP every single turn, but then seals him after like he uses his NP. Or after he kills one of your party members, I think. It's actually when he kills him. I think that's when he seals his NP. When you break his first bar, he gives like a big defense buff for himself, and then he gets dodge on his second break bar. Then he gets an attack buff that gives him more attack when he attacks on his third break bar. He has like weird restrictions, because like the whole point, as you can see here, is that like his wife is buffing him the entire time. So it's like he has all those like decent buffs, but then his wife is like, oh, if he crits, he doesn't get his first skill, or if he kills somebody, he doesn't get this skill, or if he uses his NP, like he gets reductions on, he can't use his third active skill, right? Like, so it's a little weird. But honestly, he's just a big Zerg, so like bring just anybody decent, like bring just a very decent DPS servant, and you should be able to get through this. I mean, like just trying to think of some free-to-play options. You can bring like William Tell or like Robin Hood and then try to support them as much as possible. He doesn't really have a whole lot of like diverse traits for you to exploit. I mean, he does have the male trait, so you could try to bring like Uriel or Orion, but the problem that you don't want to do that because of this right here, because if you charm him, his wife gets all angry and then she gives you curse damage for 10 times. I mean, unless you want to just keep removing that, I guess you could do that. Look, you could summon for Gilgamesh and bring him, probably just blow him up with his NP and like big buster crits. But other than that, there's not like a lot to exploit. It's just kind of like a decently powerful Zerg. Nothing here is really too insane, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. Like, this is probably going to be the most annoying bit, is the fact that he gets a DR for a turn. Like, he is constantly lowering your attack, he is constantly lowering your defense, but it's not, like, you know, just, he's a big Zerg, just go blow him up, right? But, like, even this, it's like, these debuffs are removable, so it's not, like, the biggest deal in the world. I wouldn't, like, super, like, stress about it. Shouldn't be too hard for most people. I would keep in mind, because people probably are forgetting, though, Eric does have an AoE NP, okay? I know nobody uses Eric, but his NP, I'll prove it. Look, it's AoE, right? He does have an AoE, so just make sure you are aware of that, because he will, you know, be hitting your entire party. You know, make sure you keep everybody safe. This challenge quest could have been really hard, because they all have, like, massive card resistances. But if you remember what I was saying about Arjuna Altar and the extra attack, you can cheese this quest, because these two die. You know, these two just get obliterated, right? Because they don't have Buster resistance, so his NP cleans them up. And then you got a Buster resist over here, who gets obliterated by Arjuna Altar's arts, quick, and extra attack. So this one is pretty easy for Arjuna Altar to mop up. Again, this is where, like, his ability to do extra damage on debuffed enemies just absolutely goes to the roof. It really shows itself in these challenge quests. Like, people don't understand how much damage that dude is doing until we get stuff like this, where they're like, oh man, my Gilgamesh hit for like 5k damage. He did nothing. And then Arjuna Altar's like, yoink, does like 500k on an extra attack. People are like, Jesus Christ, this dude is way too strong, right? So this one, honestly, very easy to cheese with Arjuna Altar. If you want to do it legitimately, you really just gotta, like, balance card types, I suppose. Like, you could be like, okay, so I gotta kill this one with my art servant, and then this one with my quick. Like you could do that, but why even bother, right? Why put yourself through that? This one is really annoying, Mechastopheles one, because, like, this dude is like, you can't, like, stun him, you can't charm him because he has high, like, debuff resistance. He can't be targeted because his goons all, like, spam taunt, and then he slaps you, like, at the very beginning with 3 turns of buff block. So make sure your initial people, either you have debuff cleanse ready to go, or you're just, you know, ready to not use your buffs. You're ready to just start punching people, right? Like, it's really annoying. He gives you NP gen, but then he gives you a buff that kills you after 6 turns. And yeah, you can live through the buff that kills you after 6 turns. It's one of those time delayed buffs. But then if you do that, you get punished. Like, he, like, lowers your HP, and it's just a bad time all around. Basically, he's like, oh, you lived through my insta-kill thing? Well, now it's just gonna suck for that servant. You're like, fantastic. Now I just have a wet noodle. He also likes to shuffle himself around, which gets really annoying. And then once you break his bar, eventually, he removes all of your buffs, reduces your NP by 50%, right? So you could try to play his game, or you could just bring Arjuna Altar and just obliterate him, or just really any decent AoE servant. Just bring them and try to just obliterate these people as fast as possible, right? You just want to get rid of these people as soon as you can. There's actually not, like, hundreds of enemies in this quest. There are 21, as you can see right here. So if your strategy is that you just want to start whittling down a lot of these people, so his whole shuffling ability doesn't really work, then that might be something viable that you could try to do. But dude, I just find this one really annoying. I either just bring Arjuna Altar and just start, like, swiping people away, just start chopping away and just obliterating them, or just bring a decent rider and just try to kill this dude as fast as possible. And then if you're really unlucky, you might have to resort to maybe using, like, Kiara strat, where you just slowly start wiping out everybody so he's the only one remaining. But just keep in mind that getting these buffs are very, very annoying. And yeah, again, you can't, you know, remove a lot of the side effects. It can be very annoying. So just keep in mind for that one. That one's probably gonna be a little bit more annoying. This one, this is gonna make or break a lot of people, because Brave Liz, you're forced to bring her on this challenge quest, and basically you have to keep her alive. If Liz dies, you lose the battle. So she's your protagonist, and you want Brave Liz to be killing all of the enemies, because as she kills enemies, she either gains a permanent attack, HP, or NP gen buff that can be stacked 10 times. She also will start getting big anti-dragon buffs to kill this big dragon down here, right? You can see that right there. As you start going through these different waves, like, you get a 15% damage buff right there. I believe she also gets one towards the middle. Yeah, she gets one, like, right there as well. So it's like, you have to kill, or you have to keep her alive while also managing having Liz kill most of the enemies, right? If you have Merlin to keep her alive, you know, to give her the attack buff, the buster buff, so she can actually hit hard, and then you can also keep her alive with his NP, this should be much, much easier. If you want to do something like a Merlin, Liz, and then just like throw in like Asclepius, Mash, Waver if you have him, just somebody to also keep her alive, because you don't want to bring another DPS because you want her to be getting all of the kills, right? You want her to be doing all of the work, to be getting all the buffs, so that way when you get to the Dragon King, you can just have Brave Liz just pokey him like a few times and he just dies, right? But if you don't have servants like that to really support her, dude, I don't even know if I'd say to even attempt this quest, because it's just going to be a pain if you don't have, you know, the right tools to keep her alive and kicking, because otherwise you're just going to be in for a bad time. This Achilles one actually is a little bit fun. I kind of like how this one is structured. So basically, you break the first bar, right? And, you know, he has this, like, damage against non-divive servants, you know, so you just beat him up a little bit. Just do, like, a crit or two, and you can knock him out, right? Nothing too hard. Then you get this, where he will stun two of your servants, right? He'll skill seal them and stun them. And then he'll invite one of your servants to a duel, where neither he or the other servant can use their NPs or anything. Basically, you have to face card him down, right? And that will, like, cycle through. So, like, he'll have a turn where he'll duel you, and then he'll give you, like, a turn to set back up for the next duel. Because obviously you're going to be face carding it. So, say if you're using somebody like Heracles, who actually is very, very good for this. Heracles is super good for this Achilles fight. If you're using someone like him, you can prep the first turn. You're like, oh, okay, Heracles is going to get invited to this duel next turn. Let me make sure that he has hero creation, he has stars this turn, so that way next turn you can do some big buster crits and kill him. This honestly shouldn't be too difficult, as I know a lot of people, when they start their accounts, re-rolled specifically for Hercules. That can make this very, very easy. If you don't have Hercules, I advise looking for a friend one. Obviously, Arjuna Altar comes into play again with this quest, because you want to bring a male servant that has divinity, but is not a caster or an assassin, because that's also why, like, bringing Merlins and, like, other casters as supports is so good, is because you already know they won't be invited into the duel, so you can kind of guarantee who Achilles is going to want to fight, right? So that way you can always know who's going to be stunned. You want that consistency. So honestly, I think Herc is very good, especially, you know, because he's getting, like, the free guts. He already has a guts. That's a skill. You know, he has a dodge. So he has a lot of survivability. And then you could just give him some big crits with Merlin, and he could just chop this dude away pretty quickly. Arjuna Altar speaks for himself. All of his cards are going to be hitting really hard. Doesn't really matter what he's getting, so he can make quick work of Achilles. You know, just quick, fast, in a hurry. Make sure you do fit this criteria, though, because of this right here. He will spam his NP until he finds somebody to fight. So make sure you don't lose your Herc or Arjuna Altar. Make sure you at least have a backup as well, just in case something goes wrong. But then we have the finale, and you'll notice there's not a lot of information here on the wiki. You'll notice that if you come here, you'd be like, I don't understand what's going on here. And for whatever reason, they don't have this listed. But here's how the Romulus quest works. So you kill his goons, and that delays his buffs. You get the Roman trait when you attack him, and Romans do less damage to each other, which means if I attack him with my Mordred after that attack will do less damage. But because I have the Roman trait, Romulus will also do less damage to me, so that's pretty good. He gets a big damage cut on break 1 and a 10 hit invincibility on break 2. If you stall for too long, Romulus will eventually become invincible. I've never seen that happen, but that is apparently a part of the quest, where apparently you just are not able to kill him after a certain point, which seems a little odd. I assume the reason because, like, you would think, like, it's weird that they let you keep playing the quest when it's not winnable, but I'm assuming they're like, oh, well, you could still burn him down with curse or burn damage or poison or something like that. I'm assuming maybe that's what they mean, where, like, he becomes invincible. They're like, basically, you can't hit him by any damage anymore. The thing that I highly advise, and I got a big old list here specifically for this one, because I know this is probably going to be one that people struggle with, because they're going to come to the wiki and they're not going to be able to see anything. I got a big old list here. You want to bring people that have debuff cleanse, right? So AoE sabers, or like just AoE fighters that you want to bring, like Mordred, Siegfried, Jason, and Dante's. All of them have a debuff cleanse, right? especially Mordred, Siegfried, and Jason all have the ability of being an AoE saber and having a debuff cleanse. Jason's is targetable. Dante's, you could try to 3-turn with Scotty, or at least just try to keep chopping down. If you don't have like a high NP Dante's, you can try to burn this down as quickly as possible. But having that cleanse plus the I believe it's the Atlas uniform, I think is what it's called. Or no, I don't think, yeah, I think it is the Atlas. The Atlas one is the one that has the 2-turn skill cooldown and the debuff, the targetable debuff. Especially having something like that, you can really kind of get around this Roman trait. It lasts for 2 turns if you're not able to, remove it or you run out of debuff cleanse. Just keep that in mind. If you're looking for single target servants, you can use Musashi, Ibaraki, or Hijikata. All 3 of them will be able to do some pretty big single target damage, and they all have a debuff cleanse. Bedivere is also a very good option, especially if you have him at NP5, because not only will he be doing a lot of damage, you can bring him as a side DPS next to like your Mordred, your Siegfried, Jason, somebody like that. But he also gives the entire party a 50% debuff resist, which can help you try to whiff the Roman trait. So those are going to be some pretty good options for just trying to blow him up. If you're looking for good, what is it called? Other support servants, you have David, Martha, Medea Lily, Asclepius, Tristan, Cersei. They all remove party debuffs. BB has a targetable debuff cleanse, and then Bradamante also has a targetable debuff cleanse that comes with a 20% battery. So those are other people you want to look into using, because you really want to keep that Roman trait off of you as much as possible, because you are on the clock for this fight. You do want to get through him at a relatively brisk pace, and you want to make sure you're also killing the side guys to remove Romulus's buffs. There is also Mr. Chinaman himself. Let me just pull this dude up. For people that don't understand why this guy's going to be so good for a lot of quests, I don't need to talk about Arjuna Altar, but I never got to do a video on this guy. So just to briefly go over this man, if you're really struggling and you can't find an Arjuna Altar, Arjuna Altar is just not working for you, this guy will greatly help you out. I just wanted to kind of simp for my man China dude over here just for a little bit, because he has the AoE NP reduction, right? He has the stun, big attack buff. By the way, AoE stun, right? Then he has the debuff cleanse. Oh, we were just talking about that. The heal to keep himself alive. 50% battery in case you're already struggling to get his NP with his already like ability to NP chain, right? To like arch chain and spam his NP. But look at that. The 1 turn of invincibility, the taunt, the massive crit damage. God forbid you find an NP5 Chinaman on your list. It is a wrap. Drop or get star absorption and then gets a big attack buff on top of his second skill attack buff. So look, I know I didn't do a video on this guy. Very good. Should already be very evident why Mothman over here is stupid broken for a lot of these challenge quests, because he basically loops his NP, can't be killed, does huge crit damage, does big damage, and then just has very good lockdown ability with his ability to reduce all enemies' NPs and the ability to AoE stun. So all right. Hopefully this is able to help you guys out. Hopefully you got some insight on how to beat some of these quests. I know about like half of them are, well, this could be really annoying, or you could just bring Arjuna Altar, right? And I mean, I'm out here to just get the, the ticket as easily as possible. I'm trying to make my life stupid easy. So I'm going to be bringing Arjuna Altar to like half of these quests. You just be like, bump all of this. I'm not dealing with your weird card nonsense. I'm just going to keep swinging Maha Praya until I win, right? But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. You guys have yourselves a nice day. Peace. Late, guys.